Welcome back to the League Digest. This week we recap the gauntlet results for the major regions and then move on to the results of the World's Group Draw. Then we discuss the changes coming in patch 8.19, the new Ezreal Rework, and finally touch on the new ranked tier changes coming next season. I'm Sushix with the League Digest. Let's talk. As the dust settled in the East, RNG were revealed as LPL's champions for 2018 and continued their quest for a Royal Slam. And KT Rolster, alongside their long-time jungler Score, managed to finally win a championship in Korea. This left the rest of the teams in China and Korea fighting for their place at Worlds through their regional gauntlets. In Korea, former champs SK Telecom went up against Gen G in a rematch of last year's Worlds final, but were again unable to take down Gen G as they moved on to play Griffin in the next round. For the young rookies who had taken KT to 5 games in the summer finals, it looked like a Worlds appearance was to be their consolation prize, but Gen G managed to overpower both them and Kingzone Dragon X to claim a chance to defend their title. In China, EDG were hunting for another Worlds appearance as they took on JD Gaming. After dropping Game 1, EDG responded with 2 quick games before closing out a dramatic Game 5 to lock a final against Rogue Warriors. Both teams looked strong going into the finals, but EDG's gauntlet buff kicked in as they crushed Rogue Warriors 3-1 to lock in their spot at Worlds. Moving over to the West, a spot alongside Vitality and Fnatic at Worlds was up for grabs as Splice took on Misfits. For a team so dominant earlier on this split, Misfits crumbled as Splice took a 3-2 series to match up against G2 in the next round. Splice were again forced to go the distance, but this time there was no happy ending for them as G2 closed out a Game 5 series to fight for the world spot against EULCS finalist Schalke 4. Again, it was little contest for G2 as they won 3-1 and secured a play-in spot. Finally, over in North America, TSM were hoping to maintain their unbroken run of Worlds appearances against Echo Fox, after the latter had swept Clutch Gaming 3-0 in the first round of the gauntlet. And all signs looked good, as TSM destroyed Echo Fox in another commanding 3-0 victory. But against Cloud9, a team who had never lost a gauntlet, one record was to be broken. And it was that of TSM, as Cloud9 sunk TSM 3-0 to reach Worlds again and leave Bjergsen and crew back home. Moving on, with Worlds soon approaching, it was finally time to draw the groups for the play-in stage and the group stage of Worlds 2018. These spots were filled with the 3rd seed of each major region and the top team of each of the emerging regions. Here in Oceania, with the Direwolves as our representatives, all our eyes were on them to see who they were facing up against. Starting with the play-ins draw, we saw OCE's Direwolves land in with EDG, the 3rd seed from 2018's most dominant region, China. Group B and C have G2 and Cloud9 as favourites for their respective groups, with Group D being quite balanced and hard to pick. While each group may have their favourite, play-ins has always given us great upsets in the past, and this year will be no exception. We look forward to seeing who makes it out and into groups. Speaking of the group stage, the big standout this year was Group B, which becomes this year's official group of death. China's #1 team and winner of MSI 2018, Royal Never Give Up, meet with last year's world champions Gen G for the 3rd year in a row. This deals a massive blow to Europe, as Team Vitality are the poor souls fated to clash with both of these titans. Group D could also get very spicy, as European champions Fnatic are up against the weakest looking NA team in 100 Thieves and Invictus Gaming. North America also has a chance to get out of groups, as their dominating Team Liquid were drawn with KT Roster and Mad Team. Group A looks like the weakest of the groups, consisting of Afrika Freaks, Flash Wolves, and VCS champs Fengvu Buffalo, giving hope for a play-ins team to place first in this group. So with all that said, we're really excited for what these groups mean for Worlds 2018, and I really look forward to seeing them live as I head to Korea later in October. Moving on this week, patch 8.19 dropped and it surprisingly came with a lot of buffs. Kicking off with Darius, he received an increased damage on his W and increased armor pen on his E. Surprising buffs, as Darius wasn't in a bad position at all and may hint at Riot's attempt to see more Darius at Worlds. Next up, we have a pool of jungle champions receiving buffs, including Elise, Nunu, Jarvan and Kha'Zix. The bigger changes hitting both Kha'Zix and Nunu. Kha'Zix's AD ratio on his passive has been doubled, and also a much larger slow on his Void Spikes. While Nunu got buffs across the board for his AP build. With these changes, we're excited to see what teams at Worlds have prepared in the jungle, and maybe we'll get to see massive AP Nunu snowballs murdering people soon. Moving down to the bot lane, Thresh has had his cooldown on Q reduced at the early levels, with its mana cost also reduced, hopefully promoting Thresh players into making more aggressive moves in the early game. This is definitely an exciting change heading into Worlds, so keep your eyes out for many more Thresh plays. Now on to items. Liandry's Torment gained a significant buff, increasing the max HP damage per second on both non-impaired and impaired targets by 0.5%. Passively buffing its major users such as Cassiopeia, Brand, Teemo, Malzahar and Singed. Lastly, we have visual updates to Veigar, Vi, Lee Sin and Jarvan. Great quality of life changes to champions who had outdated visuals. Accompanying these small visual updates, we had the announcement of a visual and kit rework to Ezreal. While getting a full visual rework, breathing new life into the champion, they also changed a long-standing issue with his W, Essence Flux, being too weak. It now sticks to enemies hit, and when procced with an ability or an attack, it pops for extra damage. Keep an eye out for the new Ezreal dropping in the next patch. Our final story this week is the announcement of possible changes to ranked tiers, likely dropping in the preseason for next year. The new changes currently being considered include 2 new ranks, Iron, which will sit below Bronze, and Grandmaster, which sits between Master and Challenger. Why, you might ask? Well, this seems to be Riot's answer to the massive skill differences in ranks like Diamond, where Diamond 5 and Diamond 1 are massively different compared to other ranks like Gold. Not only are they adding 2 more tiers, but they're also reducing the divisions in each tier down to 4. All of this hopefully meaning that the skill differences between different tiers and divisions will be much more evenly distributed. To embrace rivalries at higher levels, they're looking at effective ways in telling players exactly who they're kicking out of Grandmaster or Challenger. Alongside that will be potential changes to how the ladder is presented, making it much easier for players to see how close they are to promoting or demoting at any time. Lastly, they're looking at the design of ranked tiers and making them more interesting and relevant to the League of Legends universe. To achieve this, they're redesigning the visuals for different ranked tiers to help connect them to the different areas of Runeterra and really emphasize your climb, from a clunky Bronze or Iron rank all the way to the beautiful and detailed ranks of Diamond, Master and Challenger. I'm personally really excited about these changes. As a hard-stuck low Diamond player, I really love the idea of being able to have a clearer representation of what my rank is and how my growth is going. And maybe I'll even hit Masters next season. Unfortunately, that brings us to the end of this week's episode of the League Digest. If you guys like what we do and you want to help support us, don't forget to leave a comment down below, giving us some feedback on how we're doing and what we can improve on, and also liking and sharing will really help the channel grow. Lastly, of course, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any other content, and follow our socials on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Until next time, I'm Sushix with the League Digest, and I'll talk to you guys later.